Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. Today we're live. Yeah, we're streaming live here. And of course, it's always great fun to see everyone join me when I'm doing a live session. You never know what's gonna happen when it's live, right? Now, I'm using my phone here. Which basically means that the quality might not be as good as what you're used to, but hopefully it will still be interesting to be able to give you a good representation of the video and the audio. Now, if anyone out there is having trouble hearing me, let me know. If you're not having trouble hearing me and everything's hunky-dory, give me a thumbs up or give me a message so that I know that everything's working fine. Now, this is only the second time that I actually did a live session like this. Previously, I tried one and it went well, but I was using my computer at the time. And now I thought I'd just try this with my phone to see how well it works. Now, I don't see any comments on my end here, so I'm going to see if I can actually activate the comments so I can see what's going on. I don't want to hide all of the message. I want to be able to see all of them. So if there's anything happening in terms of messages, I should be able to see them. Now, just to get started, I wanted to talk about a couple of things, and specifically gear, obviously, because that's why everybody's here, right? So if we're going to be talking about gear, I'd like to know basically from the viewers that are watching right now, what new gear are you guys excited about? If there's anything interesting that you guys enjoy, let me know so we can actually talk about it. On my end, I'm pretty excited about a couple of things actually, and one of the things that I really am keen on trying and learning more about is the new Mesa amp. Mesa Boogie, for those of you who have been following their amp releases, is currently putting out an amplifier, and that amplifier is the Fillmore 50, which is a pretty cool looking amplifier from the initial videos that they've put out. They've only put out a couple so far. But from what I can see, it seems like the combo of the Fillmore 50 seems to be quite interesting because it's they're kind of going away from making their amplifiers too complicated, overly complicated. And you know, they're trying to simplify things, and I think that is a good move for them because they've done, you know, the super high gain stuff, the rectifier. They've done I mean, they're known for that kind of a sound. Mesa Boogie definitely has its own sound, and I'm a big fan of Mesa Boogie. I've owned plenty of them. Actually, the latest one I have here in my collection is the Triple Crown, which I'm still enjoying very much, actually. What I can really tell you about Mesa Boogie is that you either love them or you hate them. They definitely have, like, they don't try to sound like something else, from my experience anyways. You know, they're not going to do the Fender thing very well. They're not going to do the Marshall thing very well either. It's kind of like their own tone. And you have to kind of appreciate that. When I bought the Triple Crown, I kind of went into it knowing that it wouldn't necessarily give me that Marshall sound. It definitely does a great clean. It does a great overdrive. Gain, there's more gain that you could ever want on that particular amplifier. But if I compare that amplifier to, say, my Dirty Shirley from Friedman, it's definitely a different thing. It doesn't respond the same way. The Dirty Shirley that I own is really a great amplifier for that like more vintage tone. It definitely has balls and girth, and it has a nice big fat sound to it. And if I put the two side by side, you know, it really is not going to be a competition that Mesa Boogie is going to win. It's definitely going to be something that, you know, oh, you know what? I got to just do something very quickly here. I hope it doesn't interrupt the video, but I want to put my, make sure that I don't get my message. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode 1 second here. Okay. Thank you guys for sticking with me there. I don't want to get interrupted while we're doing this. You know what? I'm trying to see the comments on the screen here. And I have a comment saying, hey man, what's your all-rounder guitar? A Desert Islander. And it's kind of a difficult question to answer because I have so many guitars that I love. And I love them all for different reasons, right? I mean, I'm loving this one. You guys have probably seen this one already on one of my videos. This is the Fender Roadworn Strat. Definitely a great guitar. It really is. It feels great when I play this thing. I'm playing it all the time, and it just, I don't have any bad things to say about it. Once it's set up, I think a lot of the criticism about these guitars, if you're into Strats, is that they're probably not set up the way they should be straight out of the store. And that sucks because they're really great guitars. I really don't understand how people could justify paying so much money for a custom shop Strat when in reality, you know, this guitar is 95% of the way there and you just have to set it up the way you like it. And if you know what you're doing in terms of guitar setups, you can get this guitar to play fantastically and save yourself a ton of money. But I guess people just buy into the custom shop thing, and you know, they're great guitars. Custom shop guitars are good, but I can't justify paying that kind of cash for essentially a Strat. And these are great Strats. If you can pick one up, they're fantastic Strats. So I'm digging these guitars, but I'm heavily into Telecasters at the moment. I love Telecasters, and to be honest with you, the one I play most of the time is the one I put together. It's I have it down. Oh, it's actually not on my rack right now. It's the Olympic white Telecaster that I have with a rosewood fretboard on it, and you've probably seen that one on one of my other videos as well. And I put that one together myself from different parts and set it up, and it plays really, really well. I really enjoy that one, and I'm playing that one a heck of a lot. So, you know, out of my collection, out of, you know, Gibson Les Pauls, I love Gibson Les Pauls as well, 335s, Telecasters, Stratocasters, Shure guitars, PRS. I love PRS guitars too, but I don't really have a desert island guitar, if you can call it that. It's just the ones that I play most often, to me, are the ones that I enjoy the most. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the most expensive one, because oftentimes it has nothing to do with price. It really has to do with tone and feel, and you can get a great sounding guitar, you know, if you make it yourself, or if you get lucky and you buy one in the store. And like this one here, I really enjoy playing this guy here. So I hope that kind of answers that question. I'd like to hear from you guys that are watching. Some other questions here. David's asking me if I don't have a favorite guitar. Do you prefer, let me just see, the messages go by so quick. Do you prefer single coil to humbuckers? Do I prefer single coil to humbuckers? I really enjoy humbuckers. And to be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why I like Telecasters, actually, because to me, the Telecaster fits right between the single coil and humbuckers. So Telecaster can give you the spank of a single coil, and it can give you the beefy, meaty tones of a humbucker, in my opinion. So that's probably one of the reasons why Jimmy Page, you know, was playing a Telecaster at the beginning of all of it way back when. But to me, Telecaster really is a versatile guitar, and I'll be totally honest with you guys. It took me a long time to appreciate the Telecaster. And most often I grab a Telecaster, just because I find it easier to play than a Les Paul, more versatile than a Strat, and it gives me the tone I want. So I can get heavy, I can get twangy, I can get spanky tones out of it. I can get a heck of a lot out of a Telecaster. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I do like humbuckers too, but most of the time I'm playing a Telecaster now. So maybe that answers your question, I'm not sure. Any other questions? I like to know from you guys. What are you guys excited about these days in terms of amplifiers, pedals, and guitars? What are you looking at? I've reviewed quite a few things on my channel, and I'm constantly reviewing new stuff. So if you're interested in anything particular, let me know. Maybe I can get my hands on it and do some reviews for you. Lately I've been looking at amplifiers a lot on my end, and the amps that I'm playing, yeah, Kemper is something that I actually wanted to try, and I didn't get my hands on it yet, but I did have a Headrush that I made a video about maybe about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I ended up buying a Headrush, which was, it's not a Kemper, but it's kind of a very cool system. Works very well, and I kept that one for a while, and I really dug it. I've kind of, you know, I've gone full circle with pedals, and you know, these pedal boards that are all-in-one, amp simulation, and you know, pedal boards like the Boss has one, a Line 6, and a Headrush, Helix, all these guys. So basically, I tried the Headrush. I got an opportunity to buy one, and it really sounded a lot better than what I remember the Line 6 products that I tried last time. Hey Doug, nice to see you. Thank you for joining the show. I'll answer your question in just a minute. So the Headrush really impressed me in terms of the sound quality and the fact that it was using IRs, and the IRs really changed the game in my opinion. They do sound really good. So I bought that and I used it for a while, and it was really great because of the flexibility of being able to play it in a quiet environment when the kids are asleep or without disturbing people. And practice wise, you can put on headphones, I can play my phone through the input and just learn songs. It was a really versatile tool. The only thing is that obviously it's not an amplifier. It's never going to sound exactly like an amplifier, but it is darn close, and if you tweak it, you can definitely get pretty close. The only thing is I didn't want to spend too much time because I knew what kind of a rabbit hole it would be, and I've fallen down that rabbit hole before, where I'm, you know, constantly tweaking and spending more time tweaking than practicing, and I promised myself I would kind of not do that anymore. So basically, I ended up selling it before I got too deep into it, and decided just to stick with my amplifiers and my pedals, because most of the time when I'm playing live, that's what I'm using. And going to another platform like a Kemper or a Headrush or something like that, you really do need a lot of dialing in to get exactly the sounds that you're looking for in a live playing situation, and I really didn't want to spend that kind of energy on it. But for a practice tool, it's fantastic. If any of you have the opportunity, definitely check it out. It's definitely worthwhile. Now I had a question here from Doug, and he's asking me, are my Telecasters made in the US or Mexico? I have both. I have a Telecaster that is a 52 reissue US. I have a Roadworn, which is a Mexican, and I have a couple of them that I built myself. So I think the parts are mostly, well, the body on my Olympic white one I think is a Mexican body, but the parts come from various places, so I can't really call it a Mexican or a US made guitar or a Canadian made guitar because I put it together myself. But for me, I don't really care about where it's made. Honestly, I don't. I've played Squier Strats and Telecasters that sounded fantastic, and really enjoyed those. I have a Tokai, which is made in Japan. I have a Strat that's also made in Japan. Fantastic instrument. I don't really care as long as if it plays and sounds good. I don't care where it's made. I've played guitars that were made in Canada. I've played guitars that were made in the US, in Mexico. And just because they're US made doesn't make them play or feel any better. It really is a question of trying the guitar for yourself and determining what works for you. And for me, I really go by feel. If it feels good and the tonality is good and it basically has, you know, a good tone when you're playing it unplugged, the rest could be fixed. If you don't like the sound of the pickups, you can modify that. You can swap them out, put something else. I rarely keep my gear stock. You know, I'll change the pickups, I'll change the neck, I'll change everything if I have to. I just want to get it the way I want it. And once you have the guitar set up the way you want it and it feels good in your hands, it's hard to go find something else to replace it with, you know. Part of my channel is really reviewing gear, and it's getting harder for me to find gear that's really interesting me or attracting me to buy, because I'm pretty happy with what I have so far, and it's harder to justify another purchase. And I do purchase all of my stuff when I try it out, so I don't, you know, I rarely get freebies, unlike what other people might think. It's not that easy to get free stuff, and if I do get stuff that's thrown my way, I definitely don't bullshit you guys, and I give you my honest opinion. And then you know, if it's good, fantastic, I'll say so. If I don't like it, I'll say so too. So you can be quite confident that I'm giving you the straight story on that stuff. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Someone says, I just picked up a Peavey Viper Pro 100, and he's looking for, I don't know why I can't keep all of the chats online. Like, I don't see, they disappear. It's a little bit of a pain. And he's gonna need a pedal. You know, pedals, we can stay here and chat about pedals all day long. You know, what kind of pedal are you looking for? What do you feel the Peavey Viper is lacking? Maybe if you give me a little bit of insight on that, I can point you in the right direction. Pedals, man, there's so many different types. You know, are you looking for modulation, reverb, delay, distortion? You know, it's hard for me to help you without getting getting any more details from you. I've been through a lot of pedals, a lot of distortion type pedals on my board have come and gone along the way. I don't necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of pedals out there, but you really have to play them for a while to figure out whether or not they're going to work for you. So sometimes, you know, I'll go on forums just like you guys do, I'm sure, and look at reviews and look at opinions and stuff. And it's easy to get enticed to buy stuff, and then you're gonna regret it. My opinion is, you know, really do your homework before you actually make the investment. And again, same for guitars. You know, somebody asked me if if my guitars are made in the US. Now, who I got here? Hey, another gentleman just joined the chat. Thank you very much, you guys, for joining me today. By the way, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come into this live session. It's always a little bit stressful when you're doing something live, because you don't know what the topics are going to be or how many people are going to be participating. But I appreciate every one of you joining me here tonight. And if you guys enjoy this, we'll definitely do this more often. I don't know why I haven't actually done it more often, so I can answer your questions directly. But going back to pedals, my pedal board has evolved many times, but right now I don't go crazy with too many different pedals. I keep it simple just because I want my pedal board to, I don't want my pedal board to be too heavy. Yeah, I just someone was asking about the Fillmore 50. I just spoke little bit about that, but I'll come back to that in a second. As far as the pedals go, I have I usually just take a boost pedal with me, a delay, mostly an analog delay, a tuner. Sometimes I'll take an equalizer, and oftentimes I'll take either a compressor or two types of overdrive. I'll take an overdrive and something a little bit heavier, like an actual distortion, or sometimes just an overdrive. And I feel like that will cover most of the territory that I need to cover. And in case I don't get what I'm after with the amplifier that's available, sometimes where I jam, sometimes the amplifiers are not, they're not my amplifiers. So the ones I have, the amplifiers that I use, I can get most of the tones I want straight from the amplifier. So I don't need a lot when it comes to pedals. I also, do I have a reverb on my pedal board right now? Yes, I do have a reverb. So usually it's a reverb and a delay that I usually use for modulation. And I can get most of my tones out of those pedals. But again, I don't go necessarily for the big brands. I can get pretty happy with stuff that's, I have some Joyo pedals, some Donner pedals that I use. TC Electronics makes some good shit. Definitely love Wampler. You know, you can do a lot with the bare minimum. But it's all a question of what you're looking for in terms of sound and how you want to sculpt the sound. For me, I don't want the effects to be overbearing. I don't want it to mask the sound of the amplifier. I just want to use it sort of as a added color on top of what the amplifier already can give me. And maybe just to push the amplifier just a little bit harder if I need it to do that, and to maybe give me a little bit of a boost when you're playing solos. But other than that, I don't want to go too crazy with oh, sorry, that's my computer here. I don't want to go too crazy with effects if I don't have to. So yeah, we went to one of the question was what do you think of the Mesa Fillmore 50 amp? So yeah, that's what I spoke about a little earlier. I'll just recap. The Fillmore 50 seems like a great amplifier. I can't wait to actually see it in person and hear it in person, because to be honest with you, the videos that I've seen so far on YouTube, meh, they're, I don't know, they sound, how can I put this in a polite way? I mean, it's hard to determine what the amplifier will definitely sound like live unless you play the amplifier live. From the sounds that I heard, it sounds like a good amplifier, but you know what? I have a Fender Supersonic here, a 22, and the thing rocks, man. It does the Fender clean sound, like it's beautiful. You can definitely drive it. It has its own drive channel, which some people love, some people don't. Maybe want something heavier. For me, I don't play like really chugga heavy metal. It's more like classic rock and whatnot. So it definitely is in the ballpark for what I need. But if I want to go beyond that, I just need a distortion pedal, you know, or an overdrive pedal. It sounds fantastic. So I like what I'm hearing so far with the Mesa amplifier, but I had a Lonestar and it was a good amplifier, but I ended up selling that amplifier because, I don't know, it just has a certain tone that wasn't for me. And so right now I'm experimenting with the Triple Crown 50. It's a head, it definitely sounds good, but again, it definitely has that Mesa tone. So if you're looking for something that sounds like a Fender or a Marshall or a Vox, Mesa is Mesa. It has its own flavor. So you have to be ready for that. But I'm definitely willing to try it out when I get an opportunity to see that in a store, my local store. Craig's saying that my board has EQ, drive, delay, and a reverb. And if I need anything specific, use compression and or modulation. Yeah, so it sounds to me like you have your bases covered there. So, you know, what is it that you're looking for in terms of overall tone? What kind of a style do you play? Is it more classic rock, heavy stuff, fusion, progressive? What kind of style are you looking for there, or are you playing with? Guys, what else are you guys interested in? I mean, I'm always looking for new gear, and besides the Fillmore 50, that looks pretty interesting. In terms of pedals, I haven't really seen anything lately that's caught my attention. As I mentioned, I really like the Wampler stuff. I find TC Electronics is coming out with some really nice stuff. I saw that they recently came out with a new looper pedal, which is pretty cool to play with. I have the Ditto looper in my on my board sometimes. I like it because it's not as cumbersome. It's really small, you know, and it does the job for me. I don't need anything too crazy. One thing that I did notice was that with some other pedals like the Jam Man and stuff, there was just too much stuff in there. It just becomes too complicated for nothing, I find. I prefer to be simple. Simple is always better in a live situation, I feel. So one of the question was, what do I think about isolated power supplies? Yeah, I definitely think that isolated is the way to go. I had a cheap power supply that was made by Joyo, and I think I paid it maybe 60, 70 bucks, and it died on me. It didn't really, didn't do the job. It just, it powered my pedals, but at a certain point when I got to about 6 or 7 pedals, it was having trouble keeping up, and I ended up changing it actually ended up flickering after a while. It just couldn't supply enough power, and it would go on and off, and it just didn't do the job. So it wasn't really a question of noise, it was just power. And so I went to a different type of power supply, and it really made a huge difference. And I talk about it in my video where I'm talking about my pedal board. If you guys want to check that out, you can. All the information is there. And if you buy one of these units, you'll see that they're made very differently. They're heavier, they're made more solidly. And one thing that I found that I was impressed with was when I actually pulled out the power. So the Joyo had a cheap power supply. It was like a wall wart with a little adapter that you plug into your wall, and it broke, and I had trouble even finding a replacement for it. The new one that I bought has a really like a heavy duty power cord that you would kind of like the one you would put into the back of your computer. A really solid plug, thick, and goes right into the wall, three prong. And when I would unplug the unit, the power, my whole pedal board would stay on for at least another 4 or 5 seconds. So it means it has way more power. Even when it's unplugged, it was still furnishing enough power, where the Joyo units and the cheaper units were not doing that. So definitely, I would invest in a good unit, a good power supply, especially if you're playing live gigs. If you're playing at home, no big deal. But if you're playing live gigs, you definitely want something that's not going to fail on you. And so you can definitely take advantage of some of the better stuff out there. What other questions do we have here? Let's take a quick look. Sorry about my fingers on the screen here, but I'm using my phone, so I have to actually click the little icon to see the questions. It's a little annoying. Yeah, the Joyo stuff, I mean, it's you know what you're buying with Joyo, right? I mean, it's good stuff. If you're not a professional musician and you're on a budget, it'll do the job. But if you want something to actually last, go with something a little bit better than that. So we have somebody talking about the Lonestar here. The Lonestar. I had a Lonestar, like I mentioned, and the Lonestar is a great amplifier. It's definitely a good amplifier. In terms of cleans, really does the job. The overdrive channel, I didn't have the special. I had the classic. The special might be different, but definitely one of the Mesa amplifiers that I do like out of the bunch. And I went through the gamut with Mesa Boogie. I started off with a Mark III, which was just way too powerful. What people don't understand about the Mark III is that it's actually a pretty aggressive amplifier. Weighs a ton also. It seems like it's a small combo, and it wouldn't be... Oh, we got a bad connection here, guys. I'm hoping it'll be better. Tell me if you guys are experiencing any choppiness in the video, because I'm getting a message here that the connection is bad for some reason. I don't know why that is. Are you guys getting me okay with the volume and on the audio and the video? Let me know if you're having trouble hearing me or seeing me. So as I was saying, the Mesa Boogie Mark III is a cool amplifier, but it weighs a ton, and it's a pretty aggressive amplifier. The wall art. People are asking me about the wall art behind me here. I got it online. You can probably find, I don't remember where I got it from actually, but you can find these online. Maybe even if you go to eBay or something like that, you'll probably find people selling these this wall art. Thanks for letting me know the sound is good. I don't know why the message comes up. I'm pretty close to my Wi-Fi router, so it should be okay, but I guess there might be some interference. So for the Mesa, so yeah, the Mark III, fantastic. It's a good amplifier. It really is loud. Thing's 100 watts, the size of a Princeton, Fender Princeton, but it rocks, man. But it's very aggressive. People don't realize how aggressive it is. They think it's a smooth sound because they're used to hearing Santana and stuff like that, but it's not. It's really aggressive. So I ended up selling that one. I ended up going, after that, I got myself a Stiletto, which was way too ear-piercingly, had a lot of highs, and I understand why they call it a Stiletto, because it really cuts. But I got rid of that one. I didn't like it. Then I moved on to an Electra dyne, which was probably one of a Mesa Boogie's simplest design. It was basically the head, and it was almost like a Plexi, their version of a Plexi. It sounded great, actually. It had a nice reverb, it had a lot of balls, but it was a one-channel amplifier with 3 gain stages, and switching between the clean and the driven stages wasn't as balanced as I would like it to be, and I could never really dial out the bottom end. It was really like a fat sound, and I wanted it to be a little bit more cutting. And I wasn't able to do it with that amplifier, but I really liked that amplifier a lot. And I ended up selling that one too. Then I got the Lonestar. Lonestar was a great amplifier as well, but I ended up selling that one too. And now I have the Triple Crown 50, which I'm enjoying. I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna keep it or not, but I really do like it so far. But there again, if you've watched my other videos, you know I have the Dirty Shirley from Friedman. I also have a really cool Brunetti Pleximan, and those are really nice sounding vintage, more vintage dialed or tones on those amplifiers. And it's kind of more my bag. The Mesa is great. It has a good combination of sounds, and it has a lot of features that you can use. I just tried out the what they call the there's in the back of the amplifier, there's an output, which is a cab clone. So you can actually plug it right into your DAW, and it simulates going through a cabinet. And you're going directly into your DAW, and you can actually turn off the sound from the speaker, so that you can actually record and just go straight into your DAW, which is pretty fantastic, I think. So they're coming out with really nice things, really practical things. I just wish the amplifiers weren't so expensive. And the Fillmore 50, I think, is also going to be pretty expensive. I think it's going to be over 2,000 bucks here in Canada, at least. So if you don't want to wait for a used one, you're going to have to save your pennies. But there's a lot of other great amplifiers out there, guys. What are you guys using in terms of amplifiers? Just out of curiosity, what are you guys going? Transistor, tube, combos, head and cabinets? What are you guys using? Just out of curiosity, it would be interesting to know. I know that one I was using the Lonestar, so I assume that's the cabinet, the combo, sorry. But what about you, everybody else? Yeah, the Blackstar, the HT60 combo. Yeah, you know what? I was curious about that combo, and I actually wanted to try one out for a while. I considered buying it. I heard good things. I haven't heard bad things about it. You know, it's hard for them to live down the stigma of the Marshall thing, because from what I understand, the company was started by ex-Marshall employees. But I think it's a good all-around amplifier for somebody that's looking for that Marshall-y tone at a reasonable price point, you know, and you know, for that kind of sound, it really does a good job, I think. Yeah, the Mesa Mark 525. That's a cool amplifier too. Yeah, you know what? The Mesa Mark V was something that I wanted to try. And if I didn't get the opportunity to buy the Triple Crown, that probably was going to be the amplifier I was going to try. Just because it's small, it's powerful, and it's got some flexibility. And most people really like it. And the videos that I've heard sound really good. It might take a little bit more time to dial in the sounds with that amplifier, but it sounded, all the videos that I've seen sound really good on that particular model. And it's great because it's small, right? You can just take the head with you and just, I'm trying to downsize because I don't like to carry heavy things when I go and play. And the Friedman is a great amplifier. It's huge though. It's a big head, you know. So being able to carry all that stuff with a pedal board and guitars and cables and everything else, it really does end up being quite an ordeal. I don't have unfortunately, I don't have a roadie or anything like that. So what was some of the other comments here? Are you going to post sound demos for the TC50 and Brunetti Pleximan? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm trying to get a microphone. I just ordered a fathead ribbon mic, so that I can actually record these demos for you guys, because sometimes I record my demos through the mic on the camera, and it really doesn't do the demo justice, because you can only go so far with that kind of setup. So I'm trying to get myself set up so I can actually record for you guys, and you can get a better idea of the sound. But yeah, definitely we'll have videos of the Triple Crown, the Brunetti. Definitely a great amplifier, lots of flexibility, and also my modified Blues Junior that I have a video about. I never actually ended up giving you sound samples of that, although I have played that guitar in some other videos in the background without telling you guys that. But there's definitely a lot of great sounds in that particular amp. And I also modified the Fender Supersonic 22. I put a new speaker in it from Mojo Tone, and it sounds great. It's not stock, but I want you guys to hear what it sounds like. It's a great sounding amplifier, by the way. So there's definitely a lot of sound demos going to be coming your way. I'm going to be posting another video probably tomorrow where I'm actually demoing some pickups. It's in another Strat. It's in Strat down there. Let me go get it for you guys. This guy here. Yeah. So this Strat here is kind of also a project guitar that I changed a lot of stuff on it. This is actually a Squier. It's a Squier Deluxe. Now I changed a lot of things on it, and you can go over all that stuff on the video that I posted about this guitar. But the pickups were recently changed out again, and these are Sigil pickups. And the video I'm going to be posting this week is talking about these pickups, and there's this little sound clip there where you can hear them. Great sounding pickups, and if you haven't already checked out this guy, check him out, sigilpickups.com. He's in Canada, but he winds some pretty good stuff, specifically humbuckers mostly, but he's also been getting into the single coil stuff as well. So if you enjoy the sound clips that I'll be posting, give him a shout, because I really do think that changing pickups really makes a huge difference. Someone's asking me, it has, sorry, these messages just go by so quick. It has a feature that it allows you to go to a British Vox to Marshall. Yeah, there's a few amplifiers that actually are taking advantage of that feature. Egnater's one. The Egnater Rebel, which I also had at one point, that also had a knob where you can actually put EL34s or 6L6s at the same time. So you can actually dial in more 6L6s or more EL34s to give you either that British or Fender sound. Didn't really do Vox, but I think they have another version, the Tweaker, that does Vox as well. And the surprising thing is that there's not that much difference. People think that it's a night and day type of a difference, and it's actually pretty subtle. I was actually pretty surprised by it. But I've come to really like the 6L6 tubes. And in the triple crown here, it's actually, you can actually put in either the 6L6s or the EL34s. And I really enjoy the 6L6s. I find that the sound is just a nicer, bigger sound, better bottom end, just a fuller sound overall. But I think the Brunetti has EL34s in it. So, do you have any solutions for ground problems on live gig situations? You know, live gigs, that's probably the trickiest thing to get clean power. And a lot of times that's where the issues come from. It's just dirty power. Unless I know that there's some companies that actually make, they call them power conditioners, where you can actually go into the unit before the power gets to your pedal board. That's probably the only thing that you can do to avoid any kind of noise issues, other than changing location. There's not a lot you can do for that, unfortunately. So I'm sorry I can't help you more with that, but a lot of people are suffering from the same problem. Yeah, they work out, the power conditioners will work out all of the dirt, exactly. Yeah. Someone's saying, I hoped I could get Marshall tones out of the TC50, but I couldn't. Too grainy and Mesa sounding ended up. Yeah, you know what? I mentioned that earlier. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. Don't expect Fender tones out of Mesa or Marshall tones out of Mesa or Vox tones. They really don't do that. They really have their own sound. And either you like that Mesa sound or you don't. But if you want Marshall, get a Marshall. You know, if you want a better Marshall or a punchier Marshall, check out Friedman. For me, I really like like my go-to amplifier if money wasn't an issue and I can get like a classic amplifier, would be a JTM 45, like a vintage JTM 45. The funny thing is, a friend of mine actually had one, and I actually played through one when I was young, and I didn't really appreciate the amplifier at the time, and it got stolen. I don't know, it disappeared. But you know, I would always look for a very reasonably priced JTM 45, not a reissue, but one of the older ones, and I never really came across one at a reasonable price. But the Dirty Shirley is a really good amplifier, and if you like that JTM 45, you can really get the punch and power that you expect the JTM 45 to have when you're listening to it on a recording. The thing you have to understand with a JTM 45 or most Marshalls, that you have to really crank the shit out of them to get that saturation that sounds fantastic on record. But to get that in your room, in your house, is not practical. So the Friedman Dirty Shirley allows you to get all of that bottom end and the saturation at low volumes, because it has a master on it, a master control. So it's like you have the best of both worlds. It really sounds good, man. It's like that amplifier is not going anywhere. So if you have an opportunity to check them out, definitely check them out. What other questions do we have, guys? We've been on for about 44 minutes. We're gonna try and go an hour and then stop there, because I don't want to go too long on the first session here. Yeah, the Dirty Shirley pedal. I hear good things about it. It's not a cheap pedal. I didn't try it because I have the amplifier. So I didn't really feel I needed that pedal. But I think, you know, the thing about pedals like that is, depending on what amplifier you're using, you're not necessarily going to get exactly the same sound. You need a good amplifier that has that makes a good pedal platform, something clean. If you're already trying to go into an amplifier that's already delivering saturation and you're putting in the Dirty Shirley pedal on top of that, it might just be too much. You know, so in some amplifiers, like if you're going into a Fender amplifier, it might not be able to handle that saturation and the extra bottom end. So it might end up sounding flabby or flubby. So you really need a good pedal platform. That really brings me to my my modified Blues Junior. I had a Blues Junior that I traded a guitar for, and the guy just gave me this Blues Junior 3, and I modified the Blues Junior to a 212 cabinet instead of the usual 112. I just dumped the cabinet. I dumped the reverb tank on it, dumped the speaker, just kept the chassis, put it. I had a tweed pine 212 cabinet built for me that would fit the chassis. I put in a nice large spring reverb, and I changed the stock speakers to right now I'm running Guitar Warehouse ET65s in on one side, and the Eminence Alessandro 12-inch speaker on the other side, and the thing sounds killer, man. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, the Blues Junior is a great platform, but Fender kind of stifled it by putting it into a really small cabinet, giving it a crappy speaker and crappy reverb. But it really makes a fantastic pedal platform. And if you take that amplifier and you plug in like something like a Dirty Shirley pedal into it, it's gonna sound killer, man. At least when it's modified. But a lot of people won't modify it, you know. Am I in the States? No, actually I'm Canadian. I'm in Canada, not in the States. So what do you think about the Ibanez? Oh yeah, the AZ series. Seems like the new trend. Yeah, you know what? I really like everything about those guitars except the price. You know what? I was so excited when I saw them, and I said these things are gonna kill, because they're basically giving you the features that, you know, brands like Sir are giving you for $4,000. And if they could, you know, if those guitars were being offered under $1,000, they would kill. But the price is too expensive, man. I don't understand how much more can we spend on guitars. It seems like the price just keeps going up and up and up. And I don't want to sound like I'm bitching or anything like that, but whenever I go to a guitar center these days, I look at the prices and I'm flabbergasted. You can't buy a guitar a decent guitar anyways, for under $2,000. It used to be you could grab a guitar off the shelf and it was a great guitar and it was like around the $800 price point, which is reasonable. But today, man, you're looking at $2,000, you know, $2,500. And then if you want to go into Sir or PRS, forget it, man. You got to sell a kidney to be able to afford those guitars. And I'm a big fan of PRS. I like PRS a lot. I like Sir. The Ibanez new series looks killer. I definitely love to buy one. But you know what? It's just too expensive. And if I have to spend that kind of money, I'll look elsewhere. You know, I could still get a Charvel San Dimas for decent money. And, you know, I could modify it and just make it the way I want it to be. It's unfortunate, but I don't know. And the funny thing about the Ibanez series is that when I started, my first guitar was an Ibanez. It was an Ibanez Roadstar 2, and that was before Ibanez came out with the locking systems and the trem bar and all these things. Like, it was in the 80s, the early 80s. And so they went full circle. They went and they came out with guitars with a whole bunch of high-tech stuff, and the locking system in the back so that you can lock the tremolo, the floating locking tremolo system and locking nut and everything. And now they're going back to basics, right? Like my first Ibanez didn't have any of that, and they're going back to that now, you know, and they're charging more. So it's like, instead of being cheaper, because they're not giving you these floating tremolos and locking systems and all that, it should be actually less expensive, but it's more. I don't understand. So I figured, you know what, I'll definitely I'll keep my eyes open. And I rarely buy stuff new anymore, guys. It's just because I feel like I'm taking a hit every time I buy something new. I prefer to just buy something used. So I'll just wait, and eventually they'll be on the market used, and I doubt very much they'll hold their value. It's unfortunate for the people that spend all that money initially on them. But hey, it's the name of the game. There's not that many guitars that actually hold value anymore. So you got to be careful when you buy stuff. I lucked out because I got a Standard Pro. I actually traded my my Mesa Boogie Lonestar for one, and it's a great guitar, but those things right now, I think the fellow who actually traded the guitar, when he bought it, he paid maybe $2,200 to $2,500 for it. Now these guitars are almost $4,000. So I would never pay that kind of money for it personally, but I'm happy I got it in a trade, and it's a great guitar. So I got lucky. There's always deals out there, guys. You just have to be able to take advantage of them. That's all. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Seems that every YouTube guitar reviewer has reviewed which ones are these? The Volas. Yeah, I don't know. I never really heard of that brand. Volas. Maybe it's a European thing. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of guitars out there, and there's a lot of great guitars. It's just, you have to look. You have to look, and you have to try, and you'd be surprised. You don't have to spend that kind of money. There's a lot of great guitars for very little money. And I always tell people, learn how to set up your own guitars, because it makes all of the difference. It will change and make a crappy guitar fantastic if it's set up properly. And don't be afraid to mod, man. You know, it's like, change the pickups. So people are like, oh, I don't like the way the guitar sounds, so they'll sell the guitar. Change the pickups. Yeah, the standard lineup for Fender, Marshall amplifiers and whatnot, they're great value. You know, it's if you look at what Fender's offering in terms of amps and stuff, you know, like used, hey, you can get a pretty good amplifier for not that much money. The deluxe amplifiers, at least here in Canada, are regularly sold used for about $700 to $800, which is a decent amount of money for that particular amplifier. DSLs, Marshall DSLs, very popular combo amplifier as well. So you don't have to spend that kind of money. You don't have to go crazy. If I had to get rid of all my amplifiers honestly today and stick with only one that would be able to do the bulk of what I need, it would probably end up being the Fender Supersonic, just because it gives amazing cleans. It can give me overdrive distortions, and I can go beyond what it can give me just from the amplifier with pedals. So you know, and the price, man, it's just like, you don't have to go crazy. So it all depends what you're looking for. So yeah. So, you know, what else, guys? Are you guys looking at any other types of pedals? I'm trying to figure out if there's some pedal that I really need that I don't already have on my board. But honestly, I think I have my bases covered right now. There's a lot of clone pedals that are coming out of China. Some of them sound interesting. I've tried a few of them myself, and some of them do have a place on my board. But a lot of them really have just one sound. They're not as flexible when you try and dial them in. You know, they're kind of limited in what they can do. So if you like that specific sound and only that particular sound, then fantastic, because they're cheap. You can get them for, you know, 60, 70 bucks, brand new. And if they break, just chuck them and replace them with another pedal or something else. But I enjoyed the Tone City pedals. I found that the Tone City pedals offered some good sound, more than I got out of like Joyo and stuff like that. And you know, it's just sometimes you're looking for an inexpensive pedal that will allow you to, you know, get that sound you want at a gig without spending a fortune. And don't underestimate what's coming out of China, man. The quality might not be good in terms of durability, longevity, but a lot of times the sound is pretty good. You'd be surprised. And there's also, you know, transistors, amplifiers. Let's not diss transistor amplifiers, because some of them sound pretty darn good. Actually, I tried a Peavey transistor, Peavey amplifier, and it actually sounded pretty darn good, man. I was actually surprised. For a transistor amp, pretty good. And I think like, what, it was like 200 bucks maybe used, and that's without modifying the speaker or anything like that. So don't underestimate what you can get. You know, if you're on a budget, you can get some pretty decent sound without spending too much money. Unfortunately, a lot of us YouTubers and, you know, myself and other people that I've seen, they tend to focus on the more expensive stuff. But there's some great gear to be had at a reasonable price. It's just that you have to be pretty selective, you know, in how you're building your setup. But I've tried some transistor amplifiers that suck ass, but I've also tried some transistor amps that actually sounded very good. So, you know, you gotta be selective. Don't be a cork sniffer like they say. Let's see if there's any other questions here. So somebody says, I've been having fun with a Fender Champ clone from China. Has my opinion changed on the Silver Sky? Not really. Look, I haven't tried it yet, okay? So let's be fair. Like, it's hard because my opinion about gear changes all the time. You know, depending on where I'm at in my head and what I need in terms of gear. It's just, you know, what really bothered me about that, it was just like, I don't know. I don't want to start another huge discussion about it, but, you know, I'm always, if you want a Fender, buy a Fender. If you want a PRS, buy a PRS. I understand why PRS did that. You know, there's a piece of the market that they want to go and get, and it's fine, because everybody does it, really. You know, everybody's sort of copying everyone. The only thing that bothered me was I feel that PRS could have come out with a similar guitar without making it so close to the original. Like even with the knobs and the way the jack goes in. I mean, look, Charvel looks like a Fender. It's actually owned by Fender, right? But they're making modifications. They put their input on the back side of it, and you know, I think PRS is capable enough to come out with their own style, and I felt that they were kind of, I don't know, it was kind of a cheap shot. I'm not saying the guitar is not good. It probably is a great guitar, the way it sounds. I mean, it's just getting over the look of it, you know? I don't know. It's just one of those things. You know what? John Sir of Sir Guitars also had made a line of guitars that were basically the better Les Paul. If you go on his website, you'll see them. I think he made 100 units, and it's basically a Les Paul style guitar, and he put his touch on it. But basically, it's a Les Paul, right? But so, you know, maybe I shouldn't get upset because other people are doing it as well. But I just felt, I don't know, I just kind of felt weird about it. That's all. It's nothing, it's just my opinion. Yeah, you know what, the Schecter guitars, and this is just me, okay? This is just me. But I tried the Schecter guitars in a local shop. I really thought they were interesting because they looked great. But the one I tried left a bad taste in my mouth. It was dead, tonally. I mean, there was no resonance in the guitar. And maybe I just got a bad one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just didn't... I left there without any desire to purchase a Schecter guitar. Yeah, you have 5 PRS guitars. You know what? I love PRS guitars as well. I only have 2, a CE 245 and an SE. What is it? A Zach Myers. The Zach Myers one is modified. It doesn't have the original pickups in it anymore, but they're really good guitars. You know what? The SE guitars from PRS have really impressed me. The prices are creeping up now. They're going, you know, they're getting above $1,000. But you know what? Great guitars, I gotta say. I know they're not made in the same factory, they're made overseas, but the quality control is there, at least in the ones I have, the one I have here. Fantastic guitar. I really do, I do love it. I don't think I'll sell that guitar. It's got a nice beefy neck on it too. And Telecasters, yeah, there's a lot of, if PRS comes out with a Telecaster, it would be pretty interesting. One of the best Telecaster I ever tried was actually made by Sir, Classic T. You know, the thing about Sir guitars is the necks. Those necks, man, are great. And unfortunately, you'll never find a neck from a Sir guitar being sold on eBay or something like that alone. You can't buy the neck alone either, even from the company. But if you can grab a neck from a Sir guitar, fantastic. Put that on a Telecaster body, and you're in business, man. It's too bad he doesn't sell the necks alone like that. They're fantastic. They really make the guitars. I've always said it. If you don't enjoy the neck on your guitar, forget it. The guitar could sound fantastic. You know, I agree. Sir guitars are very good, but it's the necks on those guitars. The body is a body, man. The body is basically a Strat style body. You know, there's nothing too crazy about that. But the neck is something else. The prices keep going up, I agree. I wish they wouldn't. You know what? I lucked out on a couple of guitars. Yeah, I agree. The exchange rate is killing me here in Canada. The duties, you know, they're also putting out, I guess they're charging more for like rosewood, and then the new sites laws that came out made it more difficult. But everyone raised their prices. Fender raised their prices. Everyone raised their prices. So I don't know. I guess it's just inflation, economy, whatnot. I'm just glad I got some good deals on the used guitars, man. If you end up getting a good deal, look for Tokais. If you can find yourself a Tokai made in Japan, grab those guitars, man. They're fantastic. Don't go for the Korean ones. Make sure it's a Japanese one. But I got lucky. I ended up buying one locally here, and I paid like $600 for it. This thing is killer, compared to my, you know, my Les Paul. I'm not dissing the Gibson. I like Gibson too, but you're paying $600. The guitar just is killer. I can compare. Somebody came to my house with a reissue. I think it was an R8 or something like that, and I let him play my Tokai, and I think I saw his jaw drop because he realized that how good it was. and I just love it. You know, it's great. So there's great deals out there, guys. You just have to look for them. That's all. I'm always ready to grab a deal, and I'll worry about it later. You know, if I'm not sure about it, you know, I'll evaluate it and then decide what I want to do. P90. Yeah, Tokais, man. I'm telling you, try out the Tokais. You know what? I don't have one guitar with a P90 in it, and I've always been quite curious about trying the P90s. I don't know what guitar would I put a P90 in. That's the thing. I would have to get something that already comes with a P90. Yeah, I agree. Make sure it's a Japanese Tokai. Don't go Chinese. Look, Chinese are probably the equivalent of what you're getting with an Epiphone. So if you're going Chinese, just be aware that's what you're getting. But if you go Japanese, it's really quite a bit better in terms of quality. You can't compare. Really, eh? The P90s, you know, shit, I don't know what kind of, I was always looking at maybe getting some P90s. I definitely want to try them because from what I understand, they do sound almost Strat-like, a little bit beefier, maybe more like Telecaster pickups. But I never actually played a P90, believe it or not, and I definitely have to try one out. See if I can maybe find something that has P90s in it soon. What about pickups, guys? Do you guys have any preferences with pickups? For me, I've tried a whole bunch. They hum. Yeah. Hey, I'm okay with hum, man. As long as it sounds good. I don't really care about the hum. Once the drummer kicks in, what's the difference, right? As long as it sounds good. But in terms of pickup brands, do you guys have any favorite brands that you guys enjoy? There's a lot of pickup winders out there that wind some great stuff. Yeah. Yeah, more growl. I believe that. I believe it. I definitely have to try one. You don't see too many P90s in stores. I don't know why that is. I guess people are not that interested in it maybe. But I definitely want to try some. I'm going to keep my eyes open for that next time I'm in the local store. We'll see how it goes. But definitely for pickups, in terms of some pickups that really impressed me recently, and I did a video review, and I put them in one of my Tokais as well, speaking of Tokais. So if you go back to my other videos, you'll see I put in, I replaced the stock pickups in a Japanese Tokai with some Tesla Sharks from Iron Gear. They're in the UK, and I just tried them out, and hey, I was pretty impressed. They're not expensive at all, and they sounded pretty good. The only reason I took out the stock pickups is they weren't wax potted, and I wanted to see if I can get something better. I'm getting the notification here for very bad connection. I hope it's not that choppy. Let's hope it goes away on its own. Are you guys still there? I hope you guys can still hear me. It looks like it's we're getting a bad connection again. I think next time I'm just going to try my computer instead of using my phone. If you guys can hear me, just let me know. I hope we didn't lose everybody. Okay, good. You guys are still there. Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. The technology is, it's weird. It's just, it tells me it's bad all of a sudden. And I haven't done anything different. So. Yeah, so pickups. So if you guys have an opportunity to try some decent pickups, go with, try out some of the Iron Gear ones. They're definitely interesting. I wanted to try the Rolling Mills and Blues Engine ones, because those look like they're pretty interesting, and the Tesla Sharks I was quite happy with. Yeah, treble bleed on the P90s for sure. Definitely, there's some guitars that you definitely want to have a treble bleed circuit on, and I could see why you would want to have a treble bleed circuit on the P90s. I guess it's just like the Telecaster. Some Telecasters are just too bright, and definitely tames the brightness on those guys. Some don't need it though. Another pickup brand that I really do enjoy are the City Limits from Tone Rider. I tried some of the other pickups that they offer, and they were okay, but the City Limits ones are quite good. And the Sigil, the video I'll be posting tomorrow, you'll see that one. You put a treble bleed in your Silver Sky, really? So the Silver Sky was brighter than you expected? Hey, good night. Thank you for joining me there. Yeah. Yeah, as you roll down the volume, that's right. Yeah, you don't lose the highs. Yeah. So I guess a lot of people are deciding to leave right now. Maybe it's past their bedtime. We've been going 70 minutes so far, so I think we're over our hour mark. So I guess I'll pretty much wrap it up at this point. Am I still enjoying the Brunetti amp? Brunetti is an awesome amplifier, man. Definitely enjoying it. I considered, getting rid of it a couple of times, but that's just because I'm always getting rid of stuff and bringing in new things. But I changed my mind. I'm going to be hanging on to it. It's a great amplifier, very flexible, has a great tone, portable. It does a lot, man. For a little compact amp, it's killer. Really a great amplifier. It's just too bad it's hard to get because it's from Italy, right? So not everybody carries it here. You have to kind of go direct, but fantastic amplifier. So that's it, guys. Look, we're at 70 minutes or so. I think we've had a pretty nice chat here. I really appreciate everyone tuning in for the session tonight. I'll definitely do it again. Yeah, maybe we can make it a weekly Sunday thing. It was really nice talking to you guys, and definitely want to do it again soon. I appreciate it. So obviously, you guys, spread the word if you can, and let other people know that we'll be doing these sessions on a more regular basis. Hopefully, we won't have issues with the technology and the streaming, and it'll be better for the next time. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I always say on my videos, guys, if you haven't already signed up and subscribe to my channel, please do, because we talk about a lot of great stuff, and I always enjoy your comments. So if you have any comments on this one, please leave your comments. And that's it. If you guys want to tune in for the next one, it would be great to see you guys there, and I think we'll have a lot more to talk about. I'll be posting a video tomorrow, so keep your eye open for that one. And that's it. In the meantime, guys, stay tuned, keep rocking, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in.